Reddit, have you ever walked out on someone in the middle of a date? If yes, why? Oh yes, blind date. This was years ago, but I won't forget this guy. My well-meaning cousin set this one up. Was supposed to be a dinner and a movie date. Pretty typical stuff. He picks me up and looks mildly annoyed. I greet him happily and attempt to engage in conversation. He seems very distracted. We get to the restaurant and he pulls this red wig from his back seat and asks in complete seriousness if I'd wear it. I stare at him in confusion. No idea where this is going. He goes on to explain he's trying to make his ex-girlfriend jealous and has been telling everyone he's dating a redhead. I'm a brunette. He was unhappy I wore my hair down as that would mean it would take longer to pin up under the wig. I step out of the car, walk to the bathroom in the restaurant, and call my friend who is my emergency bailout. She arrives. I get in her car and leave. Never saw him again. What an inconsiderate frick. Twice. 1. Went out on a date with a guy who, I quickly learned, had backwards notions about disabled people and women. I'm a deaf woman. This was a while ago, so I'm paraphrasing here. He said something to the effect that women should stay at home, be pregnant, etc. The classic. And he expressed surprise that I, as a deaf person, did not have a carer to help me do day-to-day stuff and drive me around the town. And he thought all handicapped people should be put in institutes. I'm not really sure why he asked me out in the first place. He certainly knew I was deaf. Anyway, I don't feel like it's my job to educate people that disabled people are usually capable of taking care of themselves. I told him I didn't think that it'd work out, and excused myself. 2. A nice, class clown type guy. We got along well, and he made me laugh, which I liked. So when he asked me out, I said yes. Got to dinner, and when we were nearing the end, he admitted that he didn't have enough money. I offered to pay. It happens. College, broke, yada yada. He said no, and insisted that we dine on dash. I excused myself to go to the bathroom, found the waitress, told her what he was planning, apologized profusely, paid for our dinners and tip, and left. Considered not paying for him, but didn't want to stick her with his meal. Headline: Deaf girl's blind date is dumb. Beginning of the date actually. He picked me up. I got in the car and he passed me a breathalyzer. He says I had some wine while I was waiting for you to come out. Can you blow on this so I can start the car? I note the frick out of there. Oh, adventures on online dating. It was more at the beginning of the date. He picked me up. The first thing he said to me was, "You really don't look good. Can you go change?" I said, "Sure," and went back inside. Took off my makeup, put on my pajamas, and got out the takeout menus. A few minutes later he comes knocking at the door and seemed genuinely surprised that I didn't want to continue the evening with him. Not maliciously, I'm a recovering H addict, and when we're sitting down at the table I noticed her gnarly tracks. I told her I had been clean for 3 months and this wouldn't be good for me. She was really embarrassed. When I was leaving I paid for 2 more gin and tonics for her at the bar. You seem to have your crap together. Congratulations. I had been out with a guy a couple of times and he invited me over for a movie date. First time I had ever seen him in shorts. Nazi tattoo that he had given himself on his leg. No thanks. I left. I was telling her a story and she starts staring at her phone and giggling. I asked who it was. Just some guy. I wonder how long it took her to figure out I left, because as I walked outside I looked back and she was still laughing at her phone. Yes, when I realized this guy was filming my cleavage on his iPhone at our lunch date. A simple v-neck t-shirt, in case you were wondering. Yup, was on a first date with someone in a restaurant and the server was a bit slow because it was really busy. My date complained about the retarded waiter. I just left. The term is server. Yup, she told me about her 3 STDs and how she tried to get preggers with some guy without him knowing. She told me this on the first date. Sounds like a keeper right there. She only lasted about 10 minutes and wouldn't stop talking about her ex-BF. How they shared a dog, how they ate lunch together every day, how he got her an awesome job, how he had a bunch of stuff in her basement, how he got off by peeing on her. Welp, well gotta go, work is calling me. Yeah, my phone was on vibrate, but it is an emergency or something. I would left up until the pee part. Now I'm just curious to see where this night's going. Long story short, I was 22 and he was 28 and he asked me to meet him at his house as a halfway point to the restaurant. Turned out to be his parents. He wasn't ready for the date because he was finishing up work on his laptop. After waiting 30 minutes, found out he was playing WoW. Said he would finish up soon. Waited another 20 minutes and threatened to leave. He tried getting intimate. I asked for the bathroom to freshen up. Left and he called me 4 times within 5 minutes asking where I went. I bet he tanked his arena rating later that night because of you. So after she had gotten S-faced and called up Bray, her dealer, to order some coke to do in the bathroom, I figured this first date had nowhere to go but down, and that I needed to get her onto her train back to New Jersey before she ended up sleeping in Penn Station. Trouble is, well, 2 problems, actually. First, she kept trying to get back to the bar and threatening to walk out into traffic because she was so drunk and despondent that she no longer wanted to live, so that was dramatic. But second, she was kind of into being spanked, like, a lot into it, and she wanted to be spanked right there on the street, in front of God and everybody. Well, this is right across from the police station, as you might know, and there are cops everywhere, and she's begging me to spank her, and threatening that if I don't, she'll walk out in front of a truck. So if I spank her, it'll be a heck of a show for the cops, and if I don't, then I'm going to have to physically restrain her, and if a cop sees me holding her down, both of our nights will get a lot more interesting than they already were. So I spanked her, bent her over, on the street, and gave her 5 quick ones. She seemed satisfied, got on her train, and I never saw her again. The cops seemed bemused, but apparently spanking your drunk, coked up date on 33rd Street isn't cause for alarm. The NYC cops had way more important things to do than go after drunk people. Went on a date with a French guy. Early on and in a thick accent he said, "Look, I want to frick you. And not in the nice way, in the penetrable way, number." So romantic. He was a nice guy. The date was going fine. Till halfway through the movie, he tried to slip his hand up my skirt. Hadn't even gotten to first base. Tried skipping all the way to third. I got up, told him I was leaving, and he followed me out to the lobby, screaming at me for being a tease and a prude. Security stopped him and told him he needed to leave me alone or they'd call the police on him. Then one of the men working security asked how I was getting home. When I told him I had to walk, he convinced the theater manager to let someone drive me home. It all ended well, but the idiot was surprised that I said no to a second date. Props to the theater staff. That's great they were there for you. Good riddance to that butthole. I've posted this before a few times. He said that if I have family history of cancer, he wasn't interested in going on any more dates. For 1, I do. For 2, the tone he said it in was not only rude but concerning. It was just dinner. I didn't even say I wanted another date or that I had some actual feelings for him. He did end up asking me out again months later but I declined. I also found out he had gotten skin cancer. Yes, 33F. Third date. He was a 34M. On our walk to dinner, he directly asked if I would be interested in losing weight because he was sexually attracted to the physique of tall and very thin models. He even recommended several books and diet plans during this talk. So very nice of him. I am 5 feet 2 inches, 120 pounds. Apparently, I need to buy one of those medieval stretching machines while I am at it. Holy frick. Nope. I kindly excused myself to the train before we got to the restaurant. I have since gotten about 10 emails apologizing and telling me about his daddy issues. I have ignored all. Whoa, just wow. He's a Redditor. I hope he freaking sees this. Douche. Went on a date with a girl who freaked out on me in the car when I was describing my life in the state I had just moved from, screaming at me at one point that if I liked it so much that I should move back there. I sucked it up and went into the restaurant with her anyway. She proceeded to pound shots of tequila and ordered one of the most expensive items on the menu. I excused myself to the bathroom, noped the frick out of there, and unplugged my phone from the wall while I went to watch Cowboy Bebop. Yes, it still stands out so vividly in my mind. It's probably too late for this, but we went to grab some food before a film at a fish taco place in between us. I ordered some tacos and a beer. She ordered some tacos, a water, a side of rice, and side of salsa. So the meal comes and she just stared at it wide-eyed. The salsa was on top of the rice. She looked at the waitress and really harshly said she ordered a side of rice and side of salsa. Fair enough, I guess, outside of the harsh bit, but the waitress took it back politely enough. A few minutes later the waitress brings out the rice with a side of salsa and, again, she looked at the waitress and really harshly said she ordered a side of rice and a side of salsa. She noted that the kitchen had only just scooped the salsa off of the top of the rice, so she had it sent back. Finally another rice and side of salsa come out from the kitchen. The waitress puts it down on the table very politely. I have no idea how she even managed that at this point, and asked the woman I was with if this was okay. The woman looked at it and said this is perfect. Thank you, and then immediately, and in front of the waitress, dumped the side of salsa on top of the rice. I stood up and left. TLDR. Don't go on a date with a nutter. We went to see X-Men 2. She brought a laser pointer and pointed it at the screen. I told her to stop. She did it one more time. I got up and had her removed by an usher. I don't know how she got home. Theaters of America applaud you. So I pick up a girl I work with. This past Saturday actually. When I get there I notice she is not acting like she normally did at work. She was super energetic. Not a bad thing. Her conversations were all over the place. She at one point was even talking to herself in the car, let out some pretty nasty farts, and crying over some problem she wouldn't tell me about. We were supposed to be heading to a party at a friend's apartment, but she needed to go pick up something first. I was fine with this, until she told me what it was. When I finally convinced her to tell me what we were going to get, she told me some crystal M, and that we were picking it up from her ex-boyfriend who doesn't want to meet me, so I will have to park somewhere and let her walk to meet him. I played off how furious I was until I took her back to her house to brush her teeth because she had not done this yet, or put on makeup, or fixed her hair. As soon as we arrived at her house I told her I needed to leave, got the frick out of there, and had a great night at that party. Haven't spoken to her at work since. I had a girl out for lunch at Panera. First date, keeping things light, and we were trying to have a conversation. Emphasis on trying. She was drop dead gorgeous, but holy helix, she was, and still is, the dumbest mother I have ever met in my life. I could barely talk to her about anything without her going hard and turning her head to the side. I snapped when I told her my mom's name was Hannah and she responded, "Hannah? You mean like a cat?" Understand? She had been saying crap like that for a solid hour. I'm not one to give up on anybody. I've gone on second dates with girls I had a rough first date with. She just kept roadblocking any attempt I had at conversation with her by saying dumb crap. He said it's so cool that you drink whiskey straight. My girlfriend won't drink it at all. It was our third date and I did not know he had a girlfriend. Yeah, that is definitely second date info. In college I went out with a big shot lawyer who kept pestering me to have dinner with him. He came into the bar where I worked every day till I said yes. At dinner he ordered escargot and tried to force me to eat one, sticking the forkful in my face repeatedly. I was literally squirming my head around trying to get him to stop. When he did, he put the fork down and said, apparently to himself, why do you keep going for Brooklyn lower class trash? I seriously didn't know what to do. I was only 18 and I was furious. It was a classy place and not in my neighborhood. I couldn't bring myself to go off on him like I wanted to. I got a lot of crap for my accent in college. I went upstate and I was home for the summer and really battered by being teased and insulted for how I spoke. So I went to the ladies' room in shocked rage, and on the way the waiter said, "Man, that guy is a douchebag," and I said, "Is there a back door?" We were nowhere near the subway and I had no idea if I would find a cab or if I call for one. Even. The waiter handed me a 20 and said, "Go to the Irish bar down the street and I'll meet you there in a couple of hours. Ask for Jack. He's my brother." So I did, and Jack was like my own family, and I ended up with that waiter for years. He was shot and killed by a random bullet during someone else's gunfight. I never got over him and miss him to this very day. The lawyer had his bald now fat face plastered on buses and in the subway last time I was in the city. I always looked at his picture a bit fondly because he found me the best boyfriend ever. Saddest, most unexpected twist. Not going to lie, after all the failed Tinder dates I've been on, I was checking to make sure no stories about me were on here. I finally feel like a winner. 16 years old, taking a girl to her prom. We were meeting her friends for dinner before the dance, and I took a wrong turn and we ended up being 10 minutes late. She was pee and wouldn't stop being a bee about it at dinner in front of her friends. So when we were arriving at the dance, I pulled up to the curb and told her I was leaving, that I wasn't going to put up with that crap. Hung out with different girl later that night, ended up marrying her. I went on a date with a friend of a friend. We went out to the beach, talked for quite a while, got some drinks and we're eating dinner. It seemed to be a real good time, but she was always on her bloody mobile. I had made a couple funny comments based on high scores and other phone related themes, but she was either clueless, indifferent, or having a bad time. Midway through dinner, and in the middle of a text conversation with her bestie, I dropped a $20 on the table and told her to enjoy her texting. My friend hit me up a couple days later and asked why I was a jerk to her. After I explained about the phone bit, my friend laughed and said that was why her last boyfriend dumped her. TLDR. Walked out on a chick since she couldn't put her phone down. I had a similar experience with a girl from way back in the day. It took her almost 45 minutes to realize that I left her at the restaurant after paying the bill because she was too busy gabbing on the phone to her friends about nothing important. I even finished my meal. I've been on a couple of online dates before I met my current and wonderful girlfriend, some of which went well, some were absolute messes. I walked out on a date when I realized that the girl I had contacted on OkCupid was not at all the girl who showed up. The girl who arrived was hugely, heavily morbidly obese and didn't look anything like the photos on her profile. This wasn't a matter of flattering angles or old pictures. It was a completely different girl. Turns out, it was her friend. I noped out of there. It wasn't the fact that she was overweight that caused me to leave, although I'm not attracted to that. I did go on a date with a heavy girl that I had met on OkCupid because she was funny in messages and was honest. It just didn't click at the date. It was the fact that she had so strongly lied on her profile and expected that to be a good way to start an honest relationship that caused me to bail. I told her the truth and left. Had a similar experience. Her excuse for attempting to dupe me was that she thought if we clicked via our messages that it would make up for her not being the same person in her profile. Nope, 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 nope. He was a bit old for me, but I thought I'd give him a chance. He was super funny and pictures seemed cute. Showed up in a fanny pack. Told me about how he hated his life and had just been fired from his job at Hot Topic. And told me about his dream to trap unintelligent people in a mystery mansion style house. I finished my drink and told him that this wasn't working. Laugh cried my way home in disbelief. Showed up in a fanny pack. I didn't know they made them that big. I'd been talking to this guy on a dating site for a while, and he certainly seemed cool enough, so I decided to go watch a movie at his house one night. When I got there, he was 5 inches shorter than described on his profile, and had a nerdy, high-pitched voice. Think Urkel, but not quite as bad. We walked into his house, which I quickly learned was actually his family's home, and went to his downstairs bedroom. It was tiny, had no windows, and was covered in empty potato chip bags and dirty clothes. You couldn't see the floor. He also had dinosaur sheets on a twin bed, and one of those anime body pillows. I noped the frick out. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but he was 12. You dated a 12-year-old. Yep. He made me cry after he kept bantering me, but he was just an butt. I took my shoes off. We were at his house, and he exclaimed, "Oh my god, you've got flat 10 feet, not impressed." His house was weird as frick too. His parents had a camera in the living room to see who he brought back, but he'd turned it around. I asked to be driven back after like an hour. Went on a date with a girl I met online. We went to a county bar and it just so happened to be her birthday. She went with a few friends and I met them and they said we could have some one-on-one time to get to know each other. We picked out a booth in the corner of the bar and started talking. The entire time she had this sad depressed look on her face when she kept telling me she was fine. Finally, about 30 minutes into forced conversation, she starts crying. I asked again if everything was okay and she said she was fine, she just gets emotional when she drinks. Her friends come to check on her and start giving me some crap asking what I did. She doesn't tell them anything, just keeps crying. I look like an butthole now and she said she needed to go to the bathroom to clean up. I close my tab and walk out of there as fast as I can. She texts me asking where I went. I don't respond. She then sends a novel of text to me saying how crazy she is and needs someone to help her and that she will frick me tonight if I come back. Red flag stage 5 clinger alert. At first I was like, well, that sucks, but it's not her fault, she's obviously going through some crap. But then she ends it with that text and yeah, it nope the frick out too. Take her to a nightclub. She proceeds to get wasted. Club is full of creepy Middle Eastern guys. She apparently had a thing for Middle Eastern guys, as I am one. She knows like all of them. Literally every 5 minutes she goes up to some random Middle Eastern guy and starts chatting him up, flirting, touching, etc. They are all her friends. It makes sense that she would know these guys because she co-owned a bar herself. But still, it's weird. I am bored and a little offended. But I feel like I can't leave because she is wasted and I feel responsible for her. She asks me to take her to the bathroom. Asks me to have sex with her in the bathroom. I say no, because there is a long line of people waiting who would yell at us. We leave the bathroom. She makes a beeline for another creepy Middle Eastern friend. They start chatting. I am sitting there looking a third wheel. Guy pulls out his wallet and hands me $60 and says, here, I've never had a blonde before. Trying to not flip the frick out, I look at her and ask her why is he offering me money. She can't answer. She's too drunk. I am barely hiding my disgust. I ask her to leave. She says no. She wants to talk to her friend. I leave. For your information, I don't think she was an H. She had a respectable professional job. I think she just hung out with really creepy guys. Ads pimp to resume. Lemon Lord, the last date I went on. Met online. Texting was great. Very similar sense of humor between us. But in person, she was really cute. But why bubbly and adult. Wanted to dance around in the bar she picked instead of talk and get to know each other like we had discussed. I bailed about 20 minutes in. And it was amiable. Yeah, this isn't going to happen. We are way different. Friends though for sure. You're hilarious and I want you to come to my birthday next week. At least she seemed nice about it. The majority of people in this thread sounded insane. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.